I was trying to think of how I was going to explain this topic, and then bam, it hit me. 42. For those of you who know where that comes from, welcome to the Nerd Club. For those of you who don't, it actually comes from a book series / movie called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And in that movie, there's a civilization that creates a supercomputer that takes 7.5 million years to produce the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And its answer? 42. The computer then goes on to explain that only when you know the ultimate question will you know what the answer means. This scene actually sums up the importance of asking a good question. For me personally, I think a good question meets these 4 criteria. So number 1, it's got to be short. Whenever you have too long of a question, people aren't going to follow you through it. So how many times personally do you listen to a question and at some point you're just like, so what were you asking? Number 2, keep it simple. Break it up into smaller questions if you need to. I was talking to a buddy and he told me he did a Google search how to import, manipulate, and export data out of Excel. And surprisingly, there were no results. My response to him was you need to break that up into multiple questions. If you want to import into Excel, first off, you need to learn how to import into Excel. So ask the question, how do I import external data into Excel? Second off, depending on the type of manipulation that you want, how do I manipulate the data? Step 3, how do you export data out of Excel? So you can see that by simplifying the question and actually breaking it up into more specific components, you're more likely to get the answer you're looking for. Which brings us to number 3, be specific. So being specific isn't only about breaking down the question into very succinct, specific parts, it's also knowing your audience. Know your audience, know your audience, know your audience. For example, if you're working on the business side of any company or in sales, say door-to-door goat salesman, and your business has an IT department, make sure that you're talking to them in their language. No, I'm not talking about a foreign language. What I mean is there's a user side typically on an application and then there's the database side. And typically the user side has different names or different nomenclature than the database side. So sometimes what I see is that people think they're talking about the same thing, but the terminology that's used actually means 2 different things on each side of the system. So just make sure that your question is actually tailored to the person that's going to be interpreting it. And number 4, it needs to be actionable. So I actually try to hypothesize what I think the answer is going to be when I ask a question to know what actions I'm actually going to take next. But definitely has to have some sort of action after it, because if not, then why are you asking the question? So the moment you've all been waiting for, the unveiling of the acronym. How can you remember anything without an acronym? ASS. My wife was actually the one who pointed it out to me. Clever one. Anyways, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you like my ass, go ahead and leave it in the comments down below. See you on the next one.